Alright, I don't know how a pothead who has trouble reading to begin with ended up doing this on camera, but here we go again! This is the Legend of Atlantis, one of my scripts and stuff. Research papers, so I'll call it that, even though it's, whatever it is, a legend. Anyway, many philosophers in history use fictional stories to express the more complex issues that mankind faces, like corruption and greed, in a way that is easier to understand. So, what could the story of a great and powerful nation that disappeared under the waves possibly teach us in today's world? Without further discussion, we will try to answer this question and maybe a few others as we explore the story of Atlantis. Some people believe that the story is in fact world history, while others believe that it was simply created by the philosopher in order to talk about ethics or corruption in our world, while telling a compelling story of knowledge, power, and destruction. Stories like this have been immortalized in history, so ponder this tale with me as we explore the topic of Atlantis. An advanced civilization with knowledge far beyond that of the other nations in their time. These people thrived on an island west of the Straits of Gibraltar, according to some accounts, but every account I have looked into makes it clear that the island must have been in the Mediterranean south of Greece, north of Crete. It is said to be larger than the Asia Minor and Libya combined. But really quick, I wanted to say there was also a theory that Atlantis was somewhere in the middle of Africa, but no telling. It could have been in the Mediterranean, but there were stories of the Greeks attacking them, or them attacking the Greeks. So, could very well be that the Atlanteans were nearby in the Mediterranean. But I guess we're not sure on that. At least on this channel, anyway. The Atlanteans were a hardy and knowledgeable people, ruled by a wise and beloved king. His rich and powerful princes conquered many lands in the Mediterranean before being defeated by the Athenians and their allies. They were a people that became morally void, and the empire was swallowed by the sea over a night and day. In my mind, this account of a powerful nation who became corrupted with wealth, power, and human desires sounds very similar to another tale from the biblical account of Sodom and Gomorrah, the two cities that were destroyed with fire and brimstone from the sky. The explosion was so hot, in fact, that it turned all who looked, or so much as looked at the explosion, into piles of salt. That was in Genesis 19, 1 through 26, by the way. I honestly struggle to imagine what that kind of blast would look like. This account was later backed up by satellite imaging taken in the valley of the Jordan where the two cities once stood. Evidence was found to support that an extremely hot explosion did in fact occur over the massive 200 square mile radius where the city would have stood. But there are many other tales and various accounts of places that were destroyed due to corruption as well, even in non-Christian religions. Egyptian records of volcanic eruptions on the island of Thera, which in turn caused a series of earthquakes and tsunamis that possibly shattered civilization, or that did shatter, and tsunamis that shattered civilization on the nearby island of Crete. So perhaps a similar chain reaction happened to the island of Atlantis. Massive floods and tidal waves caused by volcanoes or tectonic plates have been pretty common in the world. This phenomenon may very well be the original basis for the whole legend of Atlantis. But this story is more likely to be based on fact, in my opinion. Maybe parts were embellished to form an epic poem, of course, because storytellers just do that. In my opinion, this legend might have been at least based on fact when the story was written, and then it was passed down for many decades. As you can probably infer, people are very divided on whether this story was meant to be taken as a historical account of a city that was destroyed, or purely a thought-provoking piece of literature, which is very possible as well, considering the man who wrote it. On one side, the claims of an island sinking under the waves were corroborated by satellite imaging, research done in the Mediterranean Ocean. Again, a bunch of research that I don't fucking understand, but that's what they said online. Ooh, ooh. Yet people claim that there are too many holes in the story for it to be deemed factual, as there are many contradicting accounts of the Atlanteans, and even of the location of Atlantis, for example. So, is this story simply a legend? Or could there possibly be more to it? If they did in fact exist, some more fortunate Atlanteans probably fled the island and went on to become Minoans, which was based on some kind of DNA evidence, apparently. But Crete would have been in very close proximity if it were in the Mediterranean, so possibly. But again, I'm not 100% sure because it is, as it stands, a legend with no proof. But there are various people who claim to have found evidence of it. But so, whether Atlantis was actually there or not, the story should at least act as a lesson about greed leading to a major downfall. This was called The Legend of Atlantis. It's an article. I just wanted to say thank you for watching, and I really would like to see you in the next video. I wish I had more to say, that's why I froze there, but thank you, see you next time.